all, welcome back to my channel So Little Time, and my name is Karen. So I hope you're all doing really well, and thank you very much for joining me today. Today's video is all about a new make that I've recently made in the form of a pair of dungarees. Now I've got them on now, but what I will say is that these dungarees are not made from a pattern. I haven't used a indie pattern, and I haven't used a big four pattern either. What I've actually done is copied a pair of ready-to-wear dungarees that I already had. So I've been wanting to make a pair of dungarees for myself for ever such a long time, and for some reason I just never got round to doing it. And I don't know if it was because I was scared of how they were going to look on me, how I was going to get around the fit, as I am a pear shape, I'm smaller up top and bigger on my bottom half, so I just thought I may have issues with how they were going to fit on me. But I've seen so many beautiful pairs on Instagram in the form of the Waves and Wild Heyday dungarees, the Erin dungarees by Tilly and the Buttons, and numerous others. And I do already have patterns for dungarees, and I also have a kit that I bought from Guthrie and Garney a couple of years ago now for the Pauline Alice Turia dungarees, and Angela from Devon Threadtails had made that version as well. And I absolutely love how they looked on her, but I don't know why, I just have procrastinated ever making them. So they're still sat in the box, unwashed, untouched, basically. But whilst I was on holiday in Cornwall earlier this year, it was a day that we'd spent in Bude, and we decided just to have a little look around the shops that day. I think that perhaps that was one of the days where the weather wasn't so great, because whilst we were away we did have that beautiful heat wave that we had here in the UK, so that was really lovely, and we were really lucky with the weather whilst we were away for the whole of the 2 weeks. I think we only had the one day of sort of drizzly rain, so that day we went to Bude and had a little browse around the shops. And it was actually my birthday not long after we came back from holiday. So whilst we were there, my husband said, oh, if you see anything that you would like for your birthday, then just let me know. So he was with the boys, and I said, oh, I'd like to just go and have a look in this shop. And whilst I was in there, they had the most amazing range of dungaree dresses, dungaree short style dungarees, and just straightforward dungarees, amongst other really lovely clothing. And I thought, right, I'm going to pluck up the courage to try on a pair of dungarees. Now, the ones I tried on, I fell in love with instantly. They are very bold, and the fit was just spot on. I couldn't believe it. So I was kind of hanging around outside the changing rooms, waiting for my husband to sort of come back to say, I want these. So I'm going to grab them now so I can show you the version that I bought. So these are them here. They are really bold, and I absolutely love the colours in this. It's very autumnal, so perfect for this time of year. They are coming across slightly different colour on screen, as to, I think they're a little bit more, they're darker. And they're coming out a lot brighter on the screen. So the brand that I've bought is by Run and Fly, so that's the logo here. And I can't remember the name of the shop that I bought it from. If I can remember, I will put it across the bottom of the screen, but I really don't know if I can, because I don't think I've got the receipt anymore, unfortunately. But they're just a really nice fit on me. So what I will do actually is insert a photo of me wearing them whilst I was on holiday, and I had it on with just like a vest top underneath, or even just my bikini, if I recall. But yeah, these just fit really nicely. Now, these are made from a twill fabric. So they've got a really good amount of weight to them, and they've got ever such a slight bit of stretch in them. Let me see if I can pull the fabric. Do you see there? Just a very slight bit of stretch in them. So they are really comfy to wear, so I have no issues in sitting down in them and moving around. But they are a nice stable fabric that actually I have found that they don't bag too much on the knees or on the bum or anything like that, because that was another thing I was worried about with like dungarees, is having them bag at the knees and not having good recovery on the fabric. But this fabric is really good, I have to say. Now, the cost of these ready to wear ones to buy, I think it was about £45. So not cheap, but not too expensive either. I think that's about right for the price that you would pay for a pair of decent dungarees. And if you're obviously making your own and buying fabric, then you know that's what you're going to be paying for the fabric, isn't it, really? So this style is a pull-on style. It doesn't have any fastenings down the sides, so you sort of just wiggle it over your hips and pop it on, and they're a really good fit over the crotch area as well, so they're not too low and they're not too bum hungry either, which is really nice. So I don't know why, these just fit my body shape perfectly. So they have got on the bib section here a seam line that runs down the front, and then it's got a big patch pocket there on the front, which isn't sort of your classic shape. It's a bit different. And then it's got a waist seam here, and then on the front of the legs it has got these big patch pockets there, as you can see, because it kind of comes around here. So that actually reminds me of the Camden pinafore style pocket, just slightly wider, I'd say. And then the actual legs are full length, but you have the option to roll them up as they are here. Now, where they've rolled them up, there is a slight seam line along this part of the leg here, because on the reverse they've put the same fabric, so when you roll it up you don't get the back of the fabric, because on the back of the fabric it is just white, as you can see here. So if you were to roll that straight up, then you would just get the white fabric on display along with your overlocking, which wouldn't look very nice. So they've put on the front and the back legs a section where you add the outer fabric again and then roll it up, so when it just shows the outer fabric, basically. I don't know if I'll be able to show you. Maybe I can. If I push it out, you'll be able to see that that's where they've just sewn it on, really. I mean, there is overlocking stitches there, but it kind of blends in. So I do wear them rolled up just over a couple of times, but if I were to wear them full length, they just literally just come down to the tops of my trainers. So the absolute perfect length. Yeah, and I really love the colour of these, actually. I was expecting, actually, when Simon was going to see them, that he was going to say, ugh, no. I mean, he did actually say, oh, don't you want a dungaree dress instead? And I said, well, no, because I've got loads of dungaree dresses, obviously, that I've made in the past. I've made loads of Cleo pinafores by Tilly and the Buttons, and I've also made the Emily pinafore by Bobbins and Buttons, and I absolutely love all of my pinafore dresses, and I do wear them on high rotation throughout the year with your Cocoa tops and Agnes tops underneath by Tilly and the Buttons also. So that's kind of my sort of standard wear for the autumn winter. Yeah, so I was over the moon with these, and I have really, really enjoyed wearing them, and they're so bright and I get so many compliments on them. So when I looked at them, whilst I was actually in the shop even, I was investigating them, just like before I bought them, like, oh, I wonder if I could make a pair of these myself. And when I looked inside at the construction, I thought, oh, I think I could go ahead and make my own version of these. And because the fit was so good, I really just wanted to copy this pair. So that's what I have done. So the actual dungarees themselves, they're not lined. They haven't got a lined bib. They've just got a facing on the front section there of the bib, and also on the back as well, there. And then the straps, they have got these dungaree clasps. Now, the way I fasten them up is so that they're on the back like that. So that's just personal preference. And I've got it so that the bit of the strap is on the inside. Now you can have them obviously around the other way, but then I think the straps would then be on the front of the bib there, and I didn't want that. It was funny actually, because of the way they were done up like this in the shop, I said to the lady, oh, are they wrong? Have they been sewn on wrong? And she said no. So she undid them and then put them around the right way. And I was like, oh, okay then. It was up purely because the rest of them were done up with that on the front. So I just thought they were wrong, which was quite embarrassing. Yeah, so like I say, absolutely loved this pair, and the fit was perfect. So I thought I'm going to have a bash at copying it myself. And that's what I've done. And I've had quite a successful go. So what I will say is this is a fairly easy pattern to sort of trace off because of the way you can lay it out. I don't think I would feel confident enough to copy a dress or anything like that because of having sleeves and things like that. I think that would be a lot more difficult to kind of copycat. Whereas this was quite simple because of the shapes and of the way it's constructed. It's fairly straightforward. So I'm going to show you what I used to copy them. And all I did purely was laid these flat out on my dining room table, and then I used some greaseproof paper and I traced over the pieces as accurately as I possibly could, trying to move the seam lines in the correct position and that kind of thing. Now, my greaseproof paper I buy from Aldi, so I'm going to show you what I use. So this is the greaseproof paper that I use from Aldi, like that, and it is actually white. So that's really good. Now, it's a little bit see-through, not overly see-through. So it wasn't see-through enough for me to see exactly where the seam lines were. So I had to use my finger and just kind of guide my pencil, I was just using a pencil, over where I was tracing and just hoping for the best. And then I would cut that out and then lay it over the section that I just traced to see if it was accurate enough and just make any changes at that point. So that is kind of how I did it. So I used that first. Then what I did was I laid my pattern pieces that I'd used from this onto some brown paper. Now I've got quite a big roll of brown paper that I think I bought from I don't know, a stationery shop a long time ago, and I use it for packing and that kind of thing. But it's really good for making up patterns as well because it's quite sturdy. So I used that and I laid my tracing paper version on there, and then I obviously needed to add seam allowance around it. So the way I did that is I've used the Generates seam circles. So these were kindly gifted to me by a friend who receives the So Hayley Jane box. She wasn't going to use them, and if I open them up, there's two circles in here. One is a 1.5 centimetre seam allowance circle, and all you do is you pop your pencil in the middle of that hole there, lining up the edge of this circle along your pattern, and then you're adding the adequate seam allowance. So for that one, that's 1.5 centimetres, and then this one is 1 centimetre, so a little bit smaller. So the seam allowance that I use for my dungarees is 1 centimetre, so I've used the smaller circle, and so I just use my pattern weights to place my pattern pieces on the brown paper, and so they were all laid out accurately, and then I use my pencil and my little seam circle to add the seam allowance where I needed it. So I've added 1 centimetre seam allowance around most of my pattern pieces, and then I have used slightly more on the bits where I need to fold it over twice, so maybe I've done like 2 centimetre seam allowance, so that worked really well. And then I cut out my my brown paper pattern pieces, and that was my then official pattern. And then I just obviously wrote on the front of those as to which pattern pieces they were, how many I needed to cut, if I needed to do mirror images or that kind of thing. So at the moment I am actually in the process of cutting out another pair in a plain fabric. So I'll just show you quickly here. This is the brown paper, and I've just written on the front here, front leg pocket, cut 1 pair. And then I've got seam allowance down this section here, which is actually 2 centimetres because you fold that section over twice. And then the rest of it is just 1 centimetre. So this is the colourway that I'm making my next pair in. It's like a petrol blue teal kind of needle cord, but it's quite a sturdy needle cord. So it's not as flimsy as some that you can get. It's got quite a bit of weight behind it, so that's quite nice. It has a little bit of stretch in it, probably about the same amount as the ready-to-wear pair. So I'll now talk about the pair that I've actually made. So for the pair that I've made then, I have used a stretch cotton sateen fabric, which I bought a long time ago now. I can't even tell you where I bought it from. It was that long ago. I'm talking probably 5 years ago. And again, I actually did buy these in preparation for making a pair of dungarees, and I think I was going to be using the McCall's pattern. Can't remember the number of it, so I will pop it across the bottom of the screen for you and also include a stock photo of what that looks like. I was going to make that version, but just make a few changes to it, because I think at the time when I had got that pattern, there was a magazine article by somebody who had made that version, and they had altered it slightly to drop the waist so it was a bit more of a looser style, and they'd changed the leg shape slightly as well. So I'd kept that magazine in preparation for making them and bought some similar fabric to how that lady had made them. And in actual fact, I think I probably talked about this on a previous vlog like ages ago. Yeah, so it probably isn't 5 years, it's probably 3 years, because I've been running my channel for 3 years. I can't remember. Anyway, so that fabric was for that pair, and I'm happy to say that this actual style of dungaree is very similar to how that lady had made her version. So I'm really pleased that I've basically got near enough the same style. This fabric is a lot stretchier, as you can see, and it is a lot more lightweight than the ready-to-wear pair. So I wasn't sure how the fit was going to be, especially as obviously I've traced it off, so it wasn't 100% accurate, but I basically got a pretty good fit from the get-go. So I've got the patch pocket on the front. I'm just going to pan you down a bit so you can see a bit better. I've got the patch pocket on the front, and now I had to make that slightly shorter in height because I just didn't have enough fabric. I used 2 meters of this fabric and it was 150 wide. So I managed literally just to get all of the pieces on. I think I took a photo of that, so I'll insert that. Let me move over. I'll insert that so you can see how I fitted it on. And I had to make the straps slightly narrower as well compared to the ready-to-wear pair, purely because of just how much fabric I had. But in actual fact, the width that I ended up making those fits the standard 30mm dungaree clips perfectly, so that's good. And these are the prim ones. Now I don't rate the prim ones because I find that they're very flimsy. They just come open really easily. They don't grip very well. So with that, I have had to overlap the straps together and sew them in place at the back here. You might be able to see there's a slight seam line there, because without doing that, they kept moving and like getting looser and looser as I was wearing it. So that is what I found when I was first wearing this dungaree pattern. The day I wore it, I just had them hanging, and then as I was walking about, they just kept getting looser and looser, and I kept having to move the straps, which was really annoying. So I ended up sewing those into place so they are fixed, which is absolutely fine, as I've got them exactly where I want them now. So I'm going to pan you down even further. So it is quite difficult, obviously, to see on this fabric because it is quite busy and it's black, but it has got that pocket on the front, like I say. The seam line is here, so that sits exactly on my natural waist, maybe very slightly lower. But that's really comfortable. So it has a seam line across there, and then it's got the patch pockets on the front here. And they went on fine. Now, I will show you a very slight error that I have made, and I think I've placed this one slightly more that way, because if I put my hands in, you can see the distance. One is slightly shorter, the opening of the pocket, than the other side, but it's not noticeable. I'm not going to unpick it, as I've overlocked all the insides now. But yeah, they're really nice and deep, really good size pockets. And then I'm going to try and stand back a little bit further. That's right, I'm going to take my disgusting slippers off before you see those. But yeah, I've got them rolled up twice at the bottom, and yeah, they come, you know, just quite nicely there. And like I say, if I roll them fully down, they are just on the top of my trainers, so I can wear them either way. It's absolutely fine. Yeah, really nice fit. So they sit nicely on me. I don't think they're too baggy, which is nice. These side bits here, they come up fairly high as well, so that's really nice. It's not too low. So if you've got tights on, for instance, you're not going to see the top of your tights or anything like that. And then the back is like a square. So it is slightly different to how some dungarees are, where they're a bit more of a V at the back, I suppose. Yeah, and if I stand over here, you can see they fit really nicely, and they're not too bum hungry, which is good. Yeah, and I really, really am pleased with them. So as I was wearing them when I was out for the day, after I'd literally freshly made them, I did find that they bagged out quite a bit on the legs, so they felt quite big. So then what I did was the next day I literally whipped down the side seams only and took them in by another, I think it was another 3/8 of an inch, a centimetre seam allowance, and brought them in, and then I wore them again and see how that felt, and I think I tapered them in again even a little bit more. So I probably in the end used a 3 centimetre seam allowance down the side seams to get the fit that I wanted, because they did bag out slightly. And I'm going to pan you down again just so you can see the knees and how they've worn, because I've worn these probably about 6 times now, and they have bagged very slightly on the knees, not on the bum, so that's quite nice, but just on the sort of knees and on the leg area, I suppose, where I've been sitting down, crouching and that kind of thing. So I'll just show you how that has sort of handled, really. Oh, might have to bring you down. So I'm hoping you can see this okay, but if I stand to the side and move back, you might see that they've bagged a little bit. If I stand straight, I don't know if that's even visible. So it's not too bad. And then here I've got a little bit of excess there where it has bagged as well, because I think they were slightly more fitted to me, but in actual fact I am completely happy with how they have worn, because obviously when I wash them I think they're going to shrink back in again, and also it does make it really comfy, and you know, you need that movement, you know, to be able to sit down and bend down, so I'm happy with that, and I don't think it's bagged out to the point that it looks horrible. Yeah, so I'm really pleased with how they turned out and how I managed to get the fit pretty good from the get-go, and then I just made those very slight alterations after I'd worn them. So I think that's probably a true reflection of how a garment works. You know, I thought I'd share how I've like worn it and then altered it, because obviously when you first make a pattern up, or you do a pattern test and then you show it on like a video like I'm doing, sometimes it might not be a true reflection of how the garment actually wears. So I think it was important for me to sort of show this after I'd worn it a good handful of times, in how the actual fabric had behaved and how I found the pattern had fitted me, and that kind of thing. So as you can see, I did end up having to take it in a couple of times. I haven't altered my pattern pieces purely because I think if I used a sturdier fabric like I am doing on this corduroy version, then I think I might not need to take it in, because it doesn't have as much give as this fabric. So, you know, when you make patterns and you use slightly different fabrics, you do get different fits, don't you? So I think it was important for me to leave the pattern pieces as they are, and then when I make up the cord version, if I need to take it in again, I will do so, and then perhaps I may alter my pattern pieces then to reflect that, but it might be that I don't need to take it in because the fabric is slightly sturdier, so it will be a tighter weave, so it will be a closer fit on me. That's how I'm kind of thinking anyway. But yeah, I'm just going to do that version in the plain fabric, and I'm not going to add any embellishment on it. I'm literally just going to use a normal thread for top stitching as well. I'm not going to use a contrast because I just want it to be fairly plain, that I can wear it with anything, because as much as I absolutely love this flowery fabric, I can only wear it with plain tops underneath, obviously. So I've been wearing it with my pink cocoa top that I've got. I've also got a plain round neck cream version that I've been wearing, and I have a ready to wear black top that I wore underneath it when I first made it, but in actual fact I don't really like that black top because I feel black's quite harsh on me. It washes me out a little bit, so I do prefer a pop of colour. And in this particular fabric, it's got greens, there's reds, there's also some lilac and pinks, so I've managed to get away with wearing this pink top with it. And this is the Cocoa Top by Tealing the Buttons, and I've made this in a French terry, which is quite a sort of relaxed French terry, so it doesn't hold the funnel neck all that well. It kind of flops about a little bit, but I don't mind that at all. Yeah, so I hope you like my dungarees. Let me know what you think. Have you ever copied anything, and how have you got on? I'd love to know. But yeah, I definitely am going to be making loads of these. I will still use my Guthrie and Garney kit for the Turia dungarees. I did, out of interest, just got the pattern out and had a look how it sort of compared to the pattern pieces that I'd done for this dungaree, and they are completely different shapes, so it's going to be interesting as to how that is going to fit on me. And I know that has got closures on the sides in the form of a zip on either side. Yeah, so I'm going to be interested to see how I get on with that, and I will hopefully attempt that next year. I don't think I'm going to get time this year, yeah, but I would like to go ahead and do that. And I would also like to try out the other style of dungarees that are available, like the Waves and Wild Heydays, and also the Erin dungarees, because I think it's nice to have different styles in your wardrobe, so I would like to give those a go as well. So that's all for today, and thank you very much for joining me. I hope you have enjoyed this style of video. Please do give me that all important thumbs up and subscribe if you've not already done so. That would be lovely. Not forgetting to hit that notification bell so you receive notifications when I upload new videos. Thank you very much, everybody, and I shall see you again soon. Take care. Bye.